Okay, one last swig of coffee for me and we will start. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. For those that don't know me, my name is Charlotte Newman, and I'm a Strategic Partner Manager here at Compleat Software. Today, I am here to introduce one of our key software partners, Webexpenses. We have been working with Webexpenses across various initiatives for several years now, and today they are going to be presenting you an overview and demonstration of their expense management software. You guys, as customers of Compleat, you've already automated your accounts payable and purchase to pay processes. And we do often get asked by our customers to recommend solutions for automating expense management, whether it be kind of out of pocket, travel expenses, corporate card reconciliation, etc. So I'm really pleased to be introducing you guys to Webexpenses today. Should you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to drop these into the Q&A section that you'll be able to see within the meeting, and we'll come to these at the end of the session. So now I'm very pleased to be handing over to Chloe.
Well, thanks, Charlotte. So nice to meet everybody. My name's Chloe. I am a sales consultant here at Webexpenses. So obviously I'll be taking you through some information today on our system, as well as that brief demonstration too. So to begin, just a little bit of a brief overview of what I'm going to go through today. So there's some information on us, like how our system can help you with automating this process, saving time, all those like key things that we want to do when streamlining the expense management process. I'll do a brief demonstration so that you can see exactly how our system works and how it can be used as a claimant, approver, finance team as well. And then, of course, I'll go through how we want to get this into your finance package too, to make the whole process completely streamlined from start to finish. And then, of course, we'll have opportunity for questions too. So a little bit about us. Now, we do have a worldwide presence. So we have offices in the US, in Australia, and of course, in the UK too. This allows us to support our clients 24 hours a day. So if anyone needs us at any point, we can obviously help out where needed. We have 2,000 plus clients, and it is across, as we mentioned, 70 different countries. A brief overview of our clients. Now, these are some like well-known logos. These are some people that use our system, but we of course also support smaller businesses too. If I put their logos on here, you'd probably be like, who are they? But just to let you know that we do support from small, medium enterprise all the way through to the bigger enterprise companies too. We aren't like specific on industry either, so our system can help support, due to the customized nature of it, we can support all sorts of industries as well there too. So how we can help. So probably a lot of the problems that I hear about are having a time-consuming manual process, such as using paper Excel forms, things like that. So we aim to help by streamlining inefficient processes. We also add in things such as approval steps, which can help obviously put a little bit of control back onto approvers and things like that too. We can also support with policies in place as well here. So this could be spend limits. It could be just really giving people visibility of what your expense policy is, so they can't be cheeky and submit anything. A couple of other items. So I will touch on this in our demonstration, but we will also support corporate card reconciliation. So a lot of problems that people have around people actually submitting their receipts to begin with, taking a lot of time in doing this. That's something that our system can help with here today too. Some key features and some things that do make us stand out in the market as well. As I touched on, credit card reconciliation, that's a really important one, but also something that we're hearing about a lot more is with regards to our travel expenses, is looking at tracking that correctly, but also looking at tracking the carbon emissions that can be produced from these expenses. So our system allows you to track your carbon emissions on road, train, air, taxi, motorbike journeys. It means that instead of you guys having to manually calculate the engine size versus the distance taken, things like that, the system's just going to do it for you. And more importantly than that, it's just going to produce a report at the end too. So that's one key feature that is obviously really helpful, especially as everyone starts to get into their green initiatives and things like that. A couple of other things that we of course have the OCR technology scanning. So Google Vision pulls out all the information, meaning that less human error. We're not having to rely on people to fill in the information themselves. We can then, of course, send it through policy compliance, send it through approval, so that when it eventually gets to finance, we've had some controls in place to kind of just save the time of having to check it yourselves. Okay, I'll pop onto our brief demonstration. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start from the claimant's perspective on my mobile app. I'll briefly work through an out-of-pocket expense, talk around the corporate cards a little bit, and take you through a mileage claim too, and then move on to the approval side of things and the finance desktop too. So I'll start sharing that screen there. So this is our claimant's perspective on the mobile app. When they log in, they're greeted by a personal dashboard. So they've got complete visibility over their money. They can see how much is waiting approval. They can see how much has been approved, all that jazz. So they're not having to chase anybody in finance saying, when am I getting paid? Has this been approved yet? Because we're offering them that information from the get-go. As mentioned, we can also support your corporate cards. Now, we have a global endpoint with Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and essentially what that means is that we can pull the corporate card transactions into our system, allocate them to the correct claimant based upon the card details they've come from, and then automatically match with the receipt. So this obviously is going to speed up your process. It means that you're not having to wait for people's receipts and then do it yourselves at the end of the month, matching it across to the statement. But the system is really easy to use as well, so really user friendly. So we can press the blue plus button, camera receipt button, we can snap our receipt like so. Click use photo, it crops out all the background noise, so we don't need to worry about any of that. And then that OCR kicks in. So you'll see it's instantly pulled out my date, the amount, and even a brief description off of the receipt. And this can be amended if we wanted to give a little bit more information. Now, simply to differentiate whether it belongs to a corporate card or is out of pocket is just a toggle at the top. If we mark it as a corporate card receipt and save it, it just waits in the receipt area at the bottom until the transaction comes in and then matches off for them in the background. So that's all done and dusted. If it's an out of pocket, we just simply switch this off. Now, the one thing they will have to do is select a category. This category list will mirror what's in your finance package with a relative like GL and nominal code in the background as well, so that when we pop it into the finance package, it's all going to the correct area. Now you've heard me talk a little bit around policies. An orange eye that's popped up there, if I click on that, it's just a free text field for you to pop in all your policies. Now these are category specific, and of course we can set up those spend limits too, which allow us to either set up a hard rule, which means they can't submit over a certain amount, or a soft rule, which means they can go over the spend limit, but they would have to give a valid reason as to why they've done that. And it would flag up to any approvers or finance to make a decision on it too. If I scroll down a bit further, we of course have our currency area. Now we have an integration with Open Exchange. They're our FX provider, and they will calculate the exchange rate for you based upon the date of the receipt as well. So that's all managed within the system too. A couple of other areas that we can add in are tracking fields. So you'll notice I've got project here, so I can select that in order to report on this information a little bit better too. And then, of course, VAT, we're going to track VAT in the system alongside those receipts, and it can always be amended by the user, but most importantly, it can also be amended by finance, who tend to know their VAT a little bit better too. But if we'd filled in everything we needed to, we just press the green tick and we can add it into a claim header. Now, these are virtually just customized folders, so internally you could use them however you'd like, whether you've got people submitting weekly or only when they go on a course, or most commonly monthly. And then they can add all their receipts in and then submit when they're ready. And our dashboard updates to represent that too. If I pop back into my claims section, I'll briefly go through a mileage claim at this point. So I'll do that by pressing the plus button again, and then just fill in the basic information. And when I click the map route add destination button, this brings up our integration that we have with Bing Maps. So works fairly similar as doing directions on your phone. You just pop in your start location, your end destination. You can like adjust the route as necessary. So we've got our favorites there too, and our recents, which can make it even quicker to use. And then of course, it pulls up the route for us, but we've all been there. There's quite always a road closure. What we can do is we can zoom in and we can drag and drop the route to match the way I actually went. Press save and it's going to pull all that information through for us. We can make it a return journey by easily toggling the switch, and it's pulled through my number of miles for us. Now the system can accommodate a selection of different mileage rates. So I've just got it set up with standard 45p private mileage today, but we can also incorporate company cars, whether you're paying for business mileage or private mileage on them, car allowances, different amounts based upon engine size. All those things can also be added into the system. And then, of course, I also have the vehicle area here, which then allows me to track the carbon emissions on that journey. And that's what I noted earlier that we can also report on for you. Again, I have to fill in any relevant fields to any tracking areas that you make required for the user to fill in. And if we did want to add receipts into the system, we can do so in a number of different ways. It doesn't just have to be snapping a picture. You can access it in your phone gallery, the receipt section in the solution itself. You can email receipts into the system as well. So a number of different ways we can do that. If I press that green tick, I can pop that into that claim folder. Now it does flag up if there are any discrepancies. So the red exclamation mark there, if I click on that, it's because we changed the route. So this is what would flag up for the approver in finance, whether they went over spend limits or if there was just any issues with the claim at all. But if we're all happy, we'd press the blue submit button. We can add any additional notes for our approver in here. And because we've claimed mileage, we can also add a duty of care statement. This is customizable and it's also optional, but it just means they have to confirm that they've got a valid driving license and everything like that. Press the green tick and that sends that off to their approver. Now that's the out-of-pocket perspective. With regards to corporate cards, it's really simple. So they'll have a credit card tab that they can just click into, and then it will pull up a list of transactions that have been pulled through. I always like to compare this to online banking. So, you make a purchase on your personal card, it populates in your online banking app. That's exactly what's going to happen here. The only difference is that we've got little green paper clips to indicate if it's got a receipt in the system, and it's automatically matched to that receipt. This is a bit of like a to-do list. So we can see that these items have receipts attached. So we could just select them, add them to a folder, send them off. But for Darcy and May Green here, I can see I haven't uploaded a receipt yet. So I know I need to go have a dig in my bag and find it. But that is the corporate card side of things. Now I'm going to briefly swap into my approver account. We can customize approval flows, whether you wanted a basic line manager approval, whether we wanted to add thresholds in here. So something a little bit more expensive goes to somebody more senior. These are really customizable based upon what it is that you're looking for. But your approvers will be notified if they had something to approve, whether it's on the mobile app itself or by email. And they can then log in like so, and of course, submit their own claims. They're not limited on just approving in the system. But they can come into their approvals tab here, click in, see the list of claims they need to take a look at, and then open this up further to see the individual items in here. Now, another nice little feature is we can do line item rejection. So if we weren't happy with, let's say, the mileage claim, I can just select that item off, press the red cross, and I would have to give a reason just so they can make any necessary changes before resubmitting. But this just means that we're not holding up the remainder of the claim in the meantime. We can get people their money back a little bit quicker on those items that have been fully approved. Obviously, though, today I'm all happy with that. So I can just select them off, press the green tick, and then it will come to finance team for final processing. Now that is the mobile app in a nutshell. I'm going to swap on to our desktop version now just to go through the finance perspective for you. So if you bear with me one sec. Now it's worth noting that everything I've done on the mobile app can also be done on the web browser. So it's completely up to personal preference. We have a big range of clients that use the the desktop as claimants, as well as using the mobile app. Some people want to use a mobile app to snap a picture, and then because we auto sync, they can then action the rest of the information on the desktop later. But let's just pull that up now. And hopefully that is sharing for you. I don't know, Charlotte, you can confirm, is that sharing?
Yes, that's coming through.
Fabulous. Okay, so this is our finance perspective. Now, when they log in, you've got a really high level reporting area here too. So we can see what categories are the most popular, for example, like where we're spending our money. Our top 10 spenders, maybe we want to tell them to tighten their purse strings a little bit. So we've got visibility over their activity as well. If we decided to track any particular information, we've got that visibility too. And something that quite a few people do like to track is the approvers. So are your approvers actually looking at the expenses that they're supposed to be approving? Are they even clicking in? Are they consistently approving things that are outside of policy? So that's something that we can pull up in this area too. Maybe we want to have a word with Compleat at this point. But I will touch on our reporting suite in a little bit more detail in just a second. I'm just going to finish off that claim that I sent through here first. So for finance, they're separated by out-of-pocket personal spends, but also they have a tab for credit card reconciliation. Now, a brief overview of this is that we're completely in line with your billing periods. And because of our global endpoint, it means that we're pulling through the data the same way that Visa, MasterCard, Amex are. So it means that we're going to be matching up with your bank statements on this page. Now, the most important area of this is that it just allows us the visibility over what the claimants are doing with these transactions. So we can see them populate, we can see them adding receipts, or the system even automatically matching with those receipts in the background. And of course, we can see any particular coding they've put in place too. Once they've submitted it through and it's come to finance, you can amend anything. So if they did do anything incorrectly, you can just amend it at this point. But once you're happy with it, you'll just mark it off with a blue tick. What's also worth noting is that you have the ability to kind of give your claimants a prod in the right direction. So you can click the notification button and it will send them a notification asking them to submit their receipt for this transaction. Or of course, we can click notify all and it will notify all corporate card holders in one go that they need to submit their receipts. But once all the items are in, we've got a receipt attached, the green reconcile button will pop up and we can reconcile those receipts to the transactions in the system. For our out-of-pocket and mileage claims, we can obviously any approved claims are going to come through to finance for final checking. We can see the items in here and we can open them up further to see the relevant data accordingly. Now, finance has the final say over everything. So again, you can make any necessary changes at this stage, such as the category or any tracking fields or VAT used at this point as well. We can also view the attached receipts. So we'll see that pop up there if we wanted to double check any of the items on there. And we do have the opportunity to split out receipts too. So perhaps we've got items that are for accommodation, but also for food, and they're different VAT rates, for example. We can split the receipt accordingly. And also we can add attendees. So perhaps we've got client entertainment and somebody is joining us from a different company. We can add in their detail as well as any notes at this point too. Same really goes for mileage. We can see the relevant data and we can view the route taken as well. And it even gives us an indication as to where they amended the route. So the little blue dot there is showing us that they dragged and dropped the route here. And of course, we can make a decision based upon that. On this screen also, you have access to any notes that were sent in at any point, and you also have the ability to view a full audit trail of this expense claim too. So that is just another good thing to note. But if you were happy with this, you would just press the green process button. You can add any additional notes for your finance package. We'll press that and it will then take that off of our to-do list and just leaves us with the remainder of the claims that we need to check. Now that's essentially the expense system from claim to processing level. With regards to a couple of other features in the system, I'll touch a little bit on integrations just after this. But we do have a full reporting suite that comes included too. So there are loads of pre-made reports in Webexpenses that we will offer to you, such as the CO2 emissions report, where you can just click in, pop your dates in and run it. We also have a custom reporting area. So there is 116 items that you can report on in the system, and you can either save them if you want to reuse that report, or just quickly run your report whenever you feel is necessary. And that is something that, yeah, as mentioned, we can save into the system for you. But what is nice about this reporting area is not only can we filter down the information, but we can actually customize the format of these reports too. So we can drag and drop. If we want things in a certain order, perhaps we want to group it by category. So I can group that information there too. And this is just nice because we can export this from the system as a standard CSV or Excel, but we also offer the option to download it as a PDF. And when you do that, it downloads with all your branding on it. So it will have your logo. So if you want to share internally, it's just a nice visual for you to have there too. But that is a high level overview of the system. I will hopefully have touched on everything that relates to you guys at the moment. Obviously, any questions, you're welcome to ask them in the chat box, or at the end, I think we'll be doing some questions. So I'll just stop sharing that for now and bring us back to our slideshow. Okay. So integrations, this is a fairly probably important aspect for you guys. Now we have a selection of direct integrations with our system. So we directly integrate with Sage 50, Sage 200, Sage Intacct, Xero, as well as NetSuite, Microsoft Business Central as well. We have different types of integrations. So some are one way, meaning that we can populate that information into your finance package as either a journal entry, vendor bill, expense report. But we also do offer some two-way integration. So what that means is that we can pull information out of your finance package and into Webexpenses as well. But of course, we also offer a CSV integration, so really easy to use, and our implementation team will actually build the report for you. So they'd build it during the implementation phase with the relevant columns for your finance package, and it can be exported and uploaded into your finance package as well there too. But some benefits of using the integration, of course, is that we can post information such as your project field. We can pull employees through. So say you had somebody new start, that automatically populates them in Webexpenses. So it saves time with regards to a lot of information to there. So why Webexpenses? So we are a market leader. We've got a 98% client retention rate. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, we really value having our clients like worldwide and having like a support system that can help them grow as well. The system itself is really scalable. So we sort of see ourselves as a bit of a finance bolt-on, and we can grow alongside you. So whether that's you've got a few claimants at the beginning, but as your growth that you have set in place, you want to get bigger and bigger and you have more claimants, we can grow alongside you. And one of our biggest, and probably what everyone's eager to hear about today, is our pricing model. So it is different from other expense management systems, and essentially what we offer is we give everybody in your company a license. So that's free. Everyone has access to the system. So if you've got those users that, you know, only submit an expense after the Christmas party, for example, they can still use the system and they have access to it when they need to. So what we work on is an active user basis. So we'd ask you to set your regular usage. And if you said to me, we've got 50 people claiming on average each month, it could be different 50 people. So we offer that flexibility around it not being the same users all the time. Alternatively, we do have a smaller business model for those that do have repetitive users, which works it out to be a little bit more cost effective in that sense. If you don't have people that are like, if it isn't different people each month. So there's benefits to each pricing model that we can offer too. What's also worth noting is that once a user is active, they can submit an unlimited number of times within the month. So they're not limited to only one claim. And of course, as your business grows, if you do move, buy offices overseas, then of course, we've got that in-house support too. Once you do join us as a client, there is a number of things that we offer. So you get an account manager, you have access to webinars, to training, user guides, everything like that. Something that we feel is really important is we do offer training during the implementation stage for your admin users, so they know how to use the system, but then we're also available when you need us to go through, like if you have any support queries or you just want to speak to your account manager about anything else, then it is something that we have readily available. We also have a customer success team who works alongside you to make sure that you're using the system 100%, make sure that you're using all the aspects that would relate to you to ensure that you're getting the most out of the system as well. Thank you. So any questions at the moment?
First of all, that was a brilliant presentation, Chloe, a really nice overview, so thank you for that. I am just having a look in the questions box, so we have had a few come in. The first is, what does implementing Webexpenses look like?
So for us, essentially, we will pass you over to our admin team who aim to get back to you in about 48 hours. They'll set up a kickoff call. They'll go through a whole like presentation as such, telling you what to expect, and they will also provide you with just the information that we need from you, really. From there, it's really light touch from an implementation side for the client. We're very involved. We would be building the system in the background. You have access to logging in whenever you need to, so you can have a look, have a play around. And you don't go live until you're happy. So a really good note on that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, next question. Are we able to track projects in Webexpenses?
So yes, you can actually, there's a number of different things that you can track. It's completely up to you. It's a customizable area. We can add up to 2 or more tracking fields. And what that means is it could be projects, sites, locations, events. It can map in your finance package too. So that's important to note, that if you have got like coding in the background for a particular tracking area, we can match that. It means that we can then post that information into the correct area in the finance package too. But if there was something that you just wanted to track solely in Webexpenses, then we're also able to offer the reporting on that as well.
Brilliant. Okay, we have another question. This one is in from Sylvia. Can these claims feed into payroll system, and how are they paid?
So it depends how you want to do your payments. So yes, some people will do like batch reports, some people will pay in their payroll system. We can either build you a customized report in our custom reporting area that can be uploaded into your payroll system, and then you can manage your payments from that perspective. Or alternatively, some people would want to post the information into their finance package as an invoice that will map to your supplier account for the employee, and you can manage your payments accordingly from that stage. So essentially, we can get the information into, well, with enough scope, pretty much any system, so that you can manage your payments accordingly from there.
Perfect, thank you. Another question here, what data transfers between Webexpenses and the ERP?
Basically, it can be different dependent on which finance package, and if you were to have a demonstration with any of the consultants at Webexpenses, we'd be able to like customize it specifically on the finance package you use. Common information is just the category, project, like the description, for example. There's loads of different items that we can post over into there depending on what you're wanting to track in the system. And then it also depends on the type of integration. So if we have a 2-way integration, we can obviously pull through additional information such as dimensions and employee information and things like that as well. So it is really integration specific, and we have that data available. We can send over like flowcharts and things if anybody does have that following on from this meeting.
Great, thank you. And one last question that I can see so far, this one's from Patricia. How does the system calculate tax if the receipt doesn't have tax?
Okay, so tax isn't something that we're going to pull out of receipts, and that's because sometimes you can have like multiple different VAT VAT amounts on the receipt.
Sure.
So what we do is we customize the categories. So the categories are set up with a default tax amount. So for example, I selected subsistence today. That was set up with 20% in the background. Therefore, the system calculates 20% of the total amount off of that receipt for us. So a lot of the time you won't have to interact with it, but then we also have the ability for your users and finance to change the VAT if needs be. So we can have a drop down saying 20, 10, 5, 0, for example, and you can just select and the system will customize it. Or you can, of course, just type in the amount that you want to make VATable as well.
Brilliant. Okay, there is still an opportunity if anyone has any other questions. I will give you a quick moment to see if any of those come through, either in the chat section or in the question section. If you're feeling if you're feeling a bit shy, that's absolutely fine. I think if you do have any other questions, any that you haven't had the opportunity to ask today, or ones that pop into your mind after the session's finished, or if you'd like to find out any more information, or maybe book a personalised demonstration, the best way to do that is to contact Webexpenses directly, and you can use the email address that you can see on screen, which is partners@webexpenses.com. There's also a link available there, which you'll be able to click on when we share the slides with you after the session has finished. We have had one last minute question come in as well from Shazan, which is, do the HMRC mileage rates get updated automatically, Chloe?
So dependent on which HMRC like mileage rate you're using, obviously 45p isn't changed for like yonks, but like if you were to use ones that were alternatively are going to be changed, it's not something that we update in our system just because we have different people using different things and we want it to be customized to you. So it's not something that we're going to pull through so that we don't override like if you have just got a customized amount in the system.
Okay, brilliant. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, brilliant. Well, I think that's been a really useful session. Thank you, Chloe, for your presentation, and thank you everyone for joining. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day. And for now, the webinar session is concluded. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.